If your child came back as someone else, you'd know, right? You'd recognize the subtle differences, the small changes in behavior, the way they look at you. Or at least, that's what I thought. Think again. It's been weeks since my son Jay went missing. Weeks of sleepless nights, endless searches, and the gnawing fear that I might never see him again. The community rallied around us, putting up posters, organizing search parties, and offering their support. But as the days turned into weeks, hope began to wane. Authorities found him wandering near the creek behind his school. It was a place we'd searched countless times, a place that held no secrets from us, or so we thought. When they brought him home, there was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. My son was back, but that joy was short-lived. But when I looked into his eyes, I knew something was terribly wrong. Those weren't the eyes of my Jay. They were cold, distant, and filled with an unsettling emptiness. It was as if he was looking right through me, seeing something I couldn't comprehend. This wasn't Jay. The boy standing before me looked like him, but there was an undeniable sense of wrongness. His mannerisms were off. His voice had a strange, hollow quality, and his once warm and loving demeanor was replaced by something sinister. They called it shock. The authorities, the doctors, even my friends and family, they all said I was in denial, that I was projecting my fears and anxieties onto Jay. They assured me that he just needed time to readjust, that he'd been through a traumatic experience and was still processing it. Said I was in denial. But how do you explain the cold dread that creeps up your spine every time he grins at you? How do you rationalize the feeling of being watched, even when you're alone? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly, terribly wrong. But how do you deny the cold dread creeping up your spine every time he grins at you? It's not just a grin, it's a predatory smile, one that sends chills down my spine. It's as if he's mocking me, daring me to see through the facade. At night, he stands in the lawn, staring blankly into the sky. He doesn't move, doesn't speak, just stands there for hours on end. It's as if he's waiting for something, or someone. The first time I saw him like that, I thought he was sleepwalking. But now, I'm not so sure. Sometimes he's just there, watching my window from below. I wake up in the middle of the night, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread, only to find him standing there, his eyes fixed on my window. It's as if he's studying me, trying to understand something beyond my comprehension. I tried to talk to him, tried to reach him. I asked him about his day, about his feelings, about anything that might give me a glimpse of my old Jay. But every time, he just grins, ear to ear. It's a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, a smile that feels more like a threat than a gesture of happiness. But every time, he just grins, ear to ear. It's not the smile of a child. It's a smile that belongs to something else, something that shouldn't exist in this world. It's a smile that haunts my dreams and turns my waking hours into a living nightmare. It's not the smile of a child. It's something else. Something dark and malevolent. I can feel it in my bones, in the very core of my being. This thing, whatever it is, has taken my son's place, and it's only a matter of time before it reveals its true nature. It's something else, something that wears my son's face like a mask, hiding its true intentions behind a facade of innocence. I left him to his means, hoping the behavior would stop. It didn't. If anything, it got worse. The more I tried to ignore it, the more persistent it became. Now when I sleep, he opens my door just enough to watch me. I can feel his eyes on me, even in the darkness. It's a feeling of being hunted, of being prey to something far more dangerous than I can comprehend. His eyes peering through the slit. They glow with an unnatural light, a light that seems to pierce through the darkness and into my very soul. When I call out to him, he runs. But it's not the run of a frightened child. It's the run of a predator toying with its prey. When I call out to him, he runs. The sound of his footsteps, muffled but unmistakable. They echo through the house, a constant reminder that I'm never truly alone. I'm convinced now. He's not my son. He never was. Whatever came back from that creek is something else entirely. The sound of his footsteps, muffled but unmistakable. I'm convinced now. He's not my son, because I made sure I buried him deep enough in that creek. I remember the night vividly, the weight of the shovel in my hands, the cold, unyielding earth beneath my feet. I buried him, my sweet Jay, because I had no choice. He was gone, truly gone, and what came back was a cruel imitation, a twisted mockery of the boy I loved, because I made sure I buried him deep enough in that creek. And now, every night, I hear the whispers, the soft, insidious murmurs that seem to come from the very walls of my home. They tell me that I was right, that I did the right thing. But they also tell me that it's not over, that whatever came back is just the beginning. And as I lie awake, listening to the sound of my own heartbeat, I can't help but wonder, what have I unleashed?